Hello, and welcome to another episode of ohmTown on Twitch. This is the daily news show, and in it I go through about 20 articles or so that my aggregator over at ohmTown.com, that's that site right there, has aggregated throughout the day. Things have been a little glitchy today for some reason. I'm not quite sure why, but I did manage to grab an eclectic mix of links ranging from tech to social and pretty much everything in between. And if you're curious about the site, go over to ohmTown.com. The way that this works is the aggregator runs out and grabs articles from various websites that I have vetted for my personal interest. And I think that they are they embody a broad spectrum of interests. Now, you may not be interested in some of the topics. And with that in mind, if you are interested in hosting or co-hosting or supplying a source that you feel lives up to inclusion in this, then get in touch with me. You can co-host a show. You can host a show. I want to do 50 shows a week. And all of the news gets funneled into these 6 categories right here. Either create, news, education, entertainment, social, or technology. Usually it's singular. They don't get funneled into multiple channels, but there are times where it might actually occur. But let's get into this. The show runs an hour long. Typically from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. every single day. And so far I haven't missed a day. I have been late, but I haven't missed a day. The very first article is over in the Smack Talk channel. Verizon unveils new 5G Playmore mobile plan with Apple Arcade. Verizon on Thursday unveiled its new 5G Playmore monthly mobile phone plan featuring 6 free months of Apple Music, unlimited mobile hotspot data, and free Apple Arcade for the duration of the membership. I'm going to post this in the chat. And because this is a chat, this is it's on Twitch, it's on YouTube, it's an Apple podcast, and it's on ohmTown.com. Some of the things that I say may be beyond arm's reach, but you can always go to the website. You can always review the description for the podcast itself, which will have the links. I've started doing this late in the game, in that I've been doing this for almost 2 months now, but I've only been including the links in the descriptions for the last 20 or so days. And it's very difficult for me to go back, but I'll be including this from now on in the description for all of the locations that the show is hosted. Unfortunately, with Twitch, I only have 14 days of storage, and so every 14 days, the last episode drops off the planet and goes over to YouTube and to the podcast and to the website. At any rate, when you click on the link that's always included on ohmTown.com, you get taken to the source. And I always include who it is and what site it is that created the article and is hosting the information. I don't actually grab anything more than a snippet because I want you to go over to the provider of the news. I seek to add my perspective, context, and stoke the curiosity of my viewers and spur conversation both in real time here on Twitch, which is really what I'm interested in, as well as the discussion that is longer term over on ohmTown on YouTube and the podcast. And the podcast is pretty much just consume it and maybe come over to Twitch to chat in real time, or to the website, or even YouTube. It's basically one big nest of options. And there's always a Discord too. I keep forgetting about the Discord. I haven't really driven anybody over there. I don't really talk about it that much. But there is an ohmTown Discord that you can join, and each one of the channels has its own Discord channel as well. So I'm looking for mods that can do that, and I'm looking for hosts that can be part of the show or co-hosts with me. Just get in touch. Anyway, I've beaten that one senseless here. This article is written by Daryl Boxberger. Verizon unveils new 5G Playmore mobile plan with Apple Arcade. I've said this before in previous iterations of the show. We used to joke about this where we would end up having, this was 25 years ago, maybe 30 years ago now, where we used to joke that we were going to end up having to pay a little more so that we could access silos of features, right? So if you wanted to access social media, you would have to pay $15 more per month because the provider of the path to social media was bound in somebody else's network, right? So for you to get to Facebook or to Twitter or even Twitch, you have to go through a telephone company. Well, the telephone company can go, well, you're using up too much of our bandwidth. What, you can't do that. Everybody else is only using, 1 gig and you're using 7. So we're going to have to charge you more. Well, this really kind of pushes that envelope, 5G Playmore mobile plan. And I haven't even read this article because it just kind of, that's the message that I'm getting from it, right? So it says in the press release, Verizon explained that the new 5G Playmore plan is an updated version of their previous Playmore Unlimited plan with the following new features. It's still unlimited, but at lower speeds after 25 gigabytes. And that's a capital B. So capital B is bytes, little b is bits. 50% off 5G or LTE Verizon home internet plans, or a $30 credit towards a Fios gigabit connection if you can get it. Yeah, Verizon. Hey, I want Fios gigabit. Google, I'll take Google too. Hey, Google, come on. Yeah, I'm not getting it. I'm going to have to move to North Carolina so that I can get gigabit symmetric internet. Anyway, you'll also get Apple Arcade or Google Play Pass membership while you're in the plan. And as nutty as this sounds, the call filter spam blocker is included for free. As if a spam blocker shouldn't already be enforced and not just a value add, but it's a feature. I want to go into more about that, but I can't. I just can't. This next article, I'm going to keep trucking through this. This next article is about Hank the Tank, a 500-pound bear that's ransacking California community. Paintballs, beanbags, sirens, and tasers cannot keep the exceptionally large bear from seeking leftover pizza and other food. Officials say he's broken into at least 28 homes since July. And it's even funnier to me because my brain instantly went to this really hairy big dude that wants to eat pizza and not that. So this is an article over on New York Times, written by Alyssa Lupat. And that is a thick bear, like big boy. I don't know how he can get into the house without taking the side off, but okay. He's broken into 28 homes. They need to run him out of town. Maybe he can get a little bit more fit. Maybe, I don't know, maybe his, what do they call it? The circadian rhythm is off and he's actually, getting thick for hibernation. But I suppose the article will probably talk about him. Sorry, I scrolled really fast. Let's see. Residents have called the police about Hank more than 100 times since July as he continues to rampage through Tahoe Keys, a gated community. Open the gate. Let him out. At any rate, he has no concerns about humans or the human space. And so he is probably going to cause some harm at some point. So I hope that they manage to get him out of there safely for both parties, whoever it is he runs up against and himself. So good luck there, Hank the Tank. The next article is FDA approves the first iOS app to control insulin pump. These are always interesting to read. With any new feature, function, tech, there are already people out there that have, people like me that have security concerns. Pacemakers have been recalled. Other devices have been recalled because of security, lacking security features. But maybe within the iOS app, because it's tied to an iPhone and it might be more difficult. I would probably say it is more difficult to hack an iPhone remotely. You basically have to have a human being be an integral part of it, of the process. But the U.S. Food and Drug Administration has cleared the first iOS and Android app capable of controlling a user's insulin pump. I would prefer probably that an insulin pump be self-regulating, self-monitoring, and then feed that data to a phone and not necessarily have the phone manage it. I'm sure that there's backup data and whatnot. But let's click this link and see where this goes. It's an appleinsider.com article written by Amber Neely. It's actually a little bit older of an article. But like I said, my system was acting a little funky today. But I had not heard of this. And so I wanted to kick it into the stories today. So I've seen other technology interact with devices, but not actually control an insulin pump with the phone. So the app called T-Connect can be used in conjunction with Tandem Diabetes Care Incorporated's T-Slim X2 insulin pump, which is great. I'm all for it. Anything that has that leverages technology to afford a person to control their diabetes and save lives, send off alerts and other things is always a good thing. So go over to Apple Insider if you want to read more about it. It's a rather short article, but if you are interested in it, then you can go and show Apple Insider and Amber Neely that you appreciate that article. I certainly do. Raise my awareness about that particular product. The next article is in the Word and Tech channel. In this particular case, the word is actually needs work. Novel device aims to be a multitasking powerhouse, but gaps in hardware and software let it down. This article is from The Guardian. Surface Duo 2 review. And it's Microsoft's second attempt at its interesting dual-screen Android smartphone. Corrects some mistakes from the original, but falls short of revolution due to a series of oddities created by its physical laptop-like form. It actually has two screens. Looking more like a tiny convertible computer than a phone, the Surface Duo 2 starts at $1,500. A lot for a regular smartphone, but slightly cheaper than folding screen rivals. It has a little screen in the hinge. There is no screen on the outside, but the time and some basic alerts for SMS and calls can be shown down the spine of the hinge. So it is kind of like a little screen on the outside, but that's nitpicky, I suppose. Two 90 hertz OLED screens. Well, at least the blacks will be really black, and the colors will be well represented. But you've got a hard split right down the middle of this 2-screen phone, which means watching a movie across both screens is stunted at best. You might be more appreciative of a single flexible display. And they mentioned one in the article, the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 3. That said, this article is written by Samuel Gibbs, consumer technology editor at The Guardian. The next article is over in Smack Talk. Prospective iPhone OLED panel supplier BOE facing production problems. Chinese display firm BOE has been trying unsuccessfully to secure OLED panel orders for the iPhone and is now hitting production quantity problems due to the ongoing global chip shortage. I'm really curious what the global chip shortage really is. It doesn't make any sense to me. I'm struggling to figure out why it's constrained. Can't be the pandemic. I've already talked about it in previous episodes that we have been told again and again that in many of the areas that are producing chips, the pandemic has become a non-issue all the way back to last year. A year ago, they said it was a non-issue. In fact, back when it started, it basically was deemed a non-issue because they clamped down so hard that people were shocked about how abrasive the countries were at locking down COVID infected and shutting down COVID infected operations. But still, we have shortages. What are these shortages? The process is entirely automated until you get to the exfiltration stage where you're taking the product and shipping it out. Well, why aren't we leveraging automation processes across the board and removing the human component in it? If you're talking about it being jobs, well, you can still pay people until everything returns to normal entirely. Pay the people and retrain them to take care of the automated systems. Don't, for all accounts, for all intents, there is supposed to be a dearth of people that are qualified in the tech field to take care of all of these automated systems. And if we pivot to automated systems more, we're going to need more people trained to maintain those systems. So get the ball rolling. We've had 2 years to do it. We knew that anybody that had their head on their shoulders knew that there was going to be a problem with COVID, but we've been told it's not an issue. Chip shortage. What is this chip shortage? Why is there a chip shortage? Does somebody know? If you're in my chat, if you're listening to this podcast, reach out. Let me know. Is it because there's global conflict somewhere? That is the source of the raw materials that go into the production of the chips? Or is it the chips? Or is it the supply of the chips going out to docks, right? Where the supply chain is failing when it's being exported back into, let's say, the United States, because it's not just us in the United States, it's everywhere. There is a chip shortage globally. Now, let's click this. Daryl Boxberger, prospective iPhone OLED panel supplier BOE, facing production problems. Reportedly told the ELEC that the ongoing silicon chip shortage will impact BOE's production of iPhone. Let me pause this if it actually kicks off. As a result, BOE is expected to lower its production capacity to between 2 million and 3 million. Well, you know, prices are going to shoot through the roof because of inflation, and now constrained supply is going to make them go up even higher, pricing out anybody who doesn't have copious amounts of disposable income from purchasing these newer phones. You know, on one hand, people sit there and say, well, if you can't afford it, you know, tough. Well, I mean, depending on which phone you get, it's a $2,000 investment. And you keep it for 5 years and you use it every day, and it amounts basically to $1 a day kind of consumption. That's actually pretty reasonable for a device that you are using constantly for 2 to 5 years. But if you had it 5 years ago or 2 years ago and you want to upgrade to the current one, you're going to be up a creek. You're going to be priced out because there are people out there that have a lot of liquidity and they can just buy all of it. It's the reason why GPUs are so expensive, because there are people that are constraining it artificially. Then you also have the chip shortage. It's a messy place we're in right now. Not just the United States either. It's around the world. So this next article is a Daily News Show channel article. So all of these have a channel, and those channels intend to be shows eventually. Since I started this up at the beginning of the year, January 1st, 2022 was the very first show. I'm still ramping up. And if you can follow me here on Twitch and then go over to YouTube and follow me there. And I'm on Twitter as well. Mostly on Twitch. That's what I'm interested in doing, a live show on Twitch. That would be great. And then I know that this is actually a value to you. And this article is in the Daily News Show, which is this show. It may change again at a later time, but the Daily News Show will remain a general show with an eclectic mix. But I may be doing other shows as well, other news shows. Sounds weird, but it's not. Certain shows have niches. So Belgian workers win right to request 4-day week. The aim is to be able to make people and businesses stronger, said the Prime Minister. So I love this idea. Again, if you click the link on ohmTown, it'll take you over to the website that the headline was aggregated from. And Andrea Germanos, I think it's pronounced that way, correct me again if I'm wrong, at commondreams.org wrote this article. And there has been a lot of talk about shortening the work week to four days and giving a better work-life balance. In some instances, I've heard things about telework and paying people less because of the telework. I've heard people saying that, well, if they're not going to be in the office, then they shouldn't get paid as much as people who do go to the office. I've heard people say, if you're not going to be working, 5 days a week, 6 days a week, 7 days a week, then you should be paid less. But what it really comes down to is efficiency and effectiveness. If I can get my job done, whatever it might be, in 4 days, why shouldn't I have the ability to work only 4 days a week? Because the difference is either I do the work that's set out for me, or I'm being exploited beyond what is a given number of hours, right? Or a certain amount of work. So if I'm paid more because I'm better at it than somebody else, shouldn't I have a better work-life balance? I'm faster at it. My work quality is superior, et cetera, whatever. The fact is that you pay people more and you tend to get better product, or you pay somebody less and they're very, very hungry about getting more. And so they work really hard and they show somebody that they can do something really high quality and they earn a higher paycheck. But there's this context to all of this, in that what happens is you're told to work 40 hours a week, and sometimes you're just kind of leaning there. And that's where the employer comes up with the, if there's time to lean, there's time to clean kind of thing. But really, if you get the work done, you should be able to enjoy a greater work-life balance than 100-hour work weeks. And I've been there. I've worked 100-hour work weeks. I've stayed up for days at a time to work on projects. I think that a 4-day work week would benefit society and allow businesses to focus more on getting what needs to get done. But that's me. What's your take on it? Let me know in chat. You can always email me too. You can always go over to ohmTown.com. The next article is, it's supposed to be an historic moment as far as I'm concerned, but it says a historic moment. Campaign aims to boost wages in 25 states. This article actually broke in my system after it was aggregated, so I reconstructed it. This is the quote in the article is, "This is the only future for the service sector and the economy overall. Wages must go up or there will be no future," said one activist. And I tend to agree. I think that it's very difficult for wages to remain stagnant, yet inflation growing at 7.5%. And that's what it is as measured. What it really is in different areas is either higher or lower. It really depends on the products, the services, the cost of living in a given area, etc. But let's click this link and it'll take us over to Common Dreams again. Jake Johnson is the author of this. And it says, deliberately launched to coincide with Valentine's Day, one of the most profitable days of the year for the low-paying restaurant industry. The initiative aims to mobilize support for ballot measures and legislation that would hike state-level hourly wages and end deeply rooted and discriminatory tipped minimums, which are set at the federal level of $2.13 an hour in 16 states. So, without getting too far afield from this, if you're working in a restaurant and you're getting paid $2.13 an hour plus tips, and the business you're working for sucks at marketing, has no grab, has no traction, has nothing, you're not going to be making minimum wage, federal minimum wage. So what really needs to happen in the United States is tips need to go away for a base pay that makes everything function. A person working for a business needs to be able to pay for rent and food. But that's not what's happening. That's not what's happening by far. And food service, depending on who you talk to, and I've spoken to people about this in food service industries, I get told the margins are really slim and you have to have multiple restaurants to really make it. All right. I'm going to have to look at some books. I haven't done any consulting for a restaurant, but I'm going to have to talk to a couple of people and see if I can get a real look at somebody's books. But $2.13 just doesn't make any sense. Maybe if you're 15 and a half years old and you're working for your family's restaurant, sure. But to me, It just doesn't make any sense. You can't pay, in most cities, you're not going to be able to pay rent, let alone food, when you're only making $15 an hour. There will be a lot of talk regarding that, I'm sure. People that might say, well, you're not accounting for this, or, those jobs aren't for X, Y, and Z. You're not going to be paying a mortgage when you're wait staff somewhere, but you have to have a livable wage, and obviously if a person wants more money, then they'll seek a better paying position, but it's not always that easy. So let's continue on. Happy to have more discussion about it, because I'm not locked into any particular belief in that particular instance. I just think that people need to get paid more. Pretty much across the board. When you've got people that are making $20 million a year, $100 million a year or more, and then you've got people that are making $2.13 an hour. Because it's written in the code, it's acceptable, but that's not how it works as a society. This next article is over in Warcrafters. This is an article titled, "Here's When Elden Ring Unlocks in Your Time Zone." Elden Ring is a new game that's dropping basically the 24th, but because of time zones, it bleeds into the 25th. And I'm going to scroll down and click the link. It'll take you over to PC Gamer. Andy Chalk wrote the article. From Software's long-awaited Souls-like, you'll have to go and look at all of this, is almost here. We can tell you exactly when it goes live. That's kind of in the best laid plans kind of world. But go over to PCGamer.com and read it for yourself. If you click the link that's in chat or in the description for the various locations where this is going to get posted, it'll take you to ohmTown.com, and you'll see some of the time zone listings. But I really want you to go over to PC Gamer. My intent is to drive traffic over to Andy Chalk's article. I don't have a relationship with PC Gamer. I don't get a kickback or anything like that. There's no money, there's no agreement, there's no nothing. But it is something that I am interested in. Elden Ring is a game that drops on Friday, simply put. The next article is over on the Order of the Leaf, which is a channel that talks about tea and associated things, people, places, products, services, celebrating 20 years of specialty tea at World Tea Expo 2022. We're going to click this link and get you taken over to Ching. And Babette Donaldson wrote this article. Let's see here. World Tea Expo. When will it be here? And just a reminder, I don't read all of the material before I talk about it here on the Daily News Show. My intent is to react just like you would if you were reading the news. But many people wouldn't have ever stumbled across this or even known that it exists. And many may not even care, but here we are. We're talking about it. And tea is very interesting. There isn't... It's the same pieces of tea leaves, pretty much, that everybody gets. But there's different things done with it. So you have a very broad array of teas, and it's quite interesting. And I like tea. I love tea. It's fun to drink, and depending on how it is presented, it's entertaining. I don't know. There's a lot to it. But obviously we can go deeper into it as time goes on. because we have an actual channel that I'm trying to spin up. And if you are really into it, passionate about tea, then come and talk to me, and we can maybe get you to be a host or co-host for the Order of the Leaf. So let's see. Yeah, you'll have to go over to Teaching and read this article. I posted it in chat, so you can feel free to go over there and take a look at it. The expo is coming. The next show is the Daily News Show, and the article is titled "Flourishing Plants in Antarctica Seen as Possible Climate Tipping Point." The quote is, "We are receiving multiple evidences that a major change is occurring in Antarctica," said one researcher behind the new study. So let's post this. And then we can visit the article. It's over on Common Dreams, written by Julia Connolly. Authors of a new study published Tuesday warn accelerated growth of Antarctica's 2 native plant species reveals that the climate crisis is dramatically changing the continent's fragile ecosystem in ways that could have major implications for biodiversity. Well, I mean, if everything is is growing dramatically different than how it has been in our human history, it could be because there is climate change. And I'm not saying, when I say could be, there is. I mean, it's demonstrably shown there. You can actually see accelerated growth. Therefore, there is something changing in that ecosystem. That ecosystem is not isolated. It isn't a silo with a barrier around it. So it's going to impact the rest of the world, particularly if it's related to heat. Since 2009, summer warming in Antarctica has risen each year by 0.03 degrees to nearly 0.05 Fahrenheit. Wow, from 0.03 to 0.05 degrees each year since 2009. Huh. And the authors of the study, published Monday in Current Biology, said the warmer summers were the main driver of the accelerated vegetation growth. Well, and those plants are going to insulate. Yep. So we'll see. We're going to have to keep on watching this. We have to stay vigilant and see if there's something that we can do to stop this change. Otherwise, we're going to have to deal with other issues. Like this one. In the Daily News Show, wake up call. NOAA predicts a 1-foot sea level rise by 2050. This decade we're in right now is one of the most consequential decades for our climate future. So this could be the 1-2 punch of articles that might motivate you to investigate more into climate change. A lot of people say global warming, but climate change is more appropriate. The world will warm up if greenhouse gases aren't put in check, but it isn't as simple as that. So it's an entire cycle. This is an article by Kenny Stansel. And it says basically ocean levels along the U.S. coastline are projected to rise by an average of 10 to 12 inches over the next 3 decades, worsening the threat of flooding in dozens of highly populated cities. They provide links to other articles. According to a new report released Tuesday by the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration and other federal agencies. Again, this is an older article, but I wanted to draw attention to this ongoing line of stories because in previous episodes, I've spoken about this. The next article is to protect web of life. California proposal would ban bee killing neonics. Our pollinators are threatened. We know the cause, and it's time to take action. This is in the Daily News Show, and when I click the link, we'll get taken over to Common Dreams again. It's a busy day for them. And this too is another article that was published previously. And it says, amid astounding losses of bees in the United States, a California Democrat on Tuesday introduced legislation for a state ban on nearly all non-agricultural uses of insecticides linked to pollinator and environmental harm. I think that it's interesting that nearly all non-agricultural uses of insecticides. I don't think that it's, the overuse of these to keep certain things in check are the problem. And it isn't just home users. Just like recycling, it isn't home users. It isn't home users that are polluting the air. It's industrial aspects of it. I'll have to put together a show that kind of discusses it more and get everything lined up, because when I kind of end up kind of spinning down a spiral when it comes to this, because I don't believe that it is. My understanding is that it is not just the average Joe driving their car. It isn't just the average Joe throwing out something that's plastic. It isn't the average Joe. It's the more industrial aspects of all of these concerns, including agricultural uses of insecticides. What are the other non-agricultural uses of insecticides? It's weird. Anyway, we got to save the bees. Put on your shirt that says save the bees. Let me post this. In the next article, this is a current article for Steam, and the Steam Next Fest kicks off with more than 600 demos and developer live streams. The semi-annual Steam Next Fest is now underway, featuring gameplay, live streams, developer chats, tutorials, and playable demos for hundreds of upcoming games. I'll click the link here. It's an article written by Andy Chalk over at PC Gamer, and they have a video about the Next Fest celebration that's on Steam right now. So if you don't see it on your Steam account, restart your Steam app and it will load up again with updated information. And you're going to be busy. And if you thought, I've got enough games, no, you'll find something in there. For me, what is it? What I am interested in is going to be, I think it's going to be, what is it called? Core? Sorry for the dead air. Core Keeper. That's what I'm going to get. I'm going to be getting Core Keeper and the Wandering Village. I might even get the First Men. I'm not sure, but those are 3 games that have demos, and I've played the Wandering Village. It's pretty chill, just like Core Keeper is, but I haven't played the First Men. They all have demos, though, so go and check it out. And go over to PC Gamer and check out the rest of that article. Andy writes that there's 628 demos in this round of the Next Fest. Wow. You're going to be busy if you try and play them all. And good luck. The next article made my blood pressure increase. It's an article that's in Smack Talk. I'm not quite sure why it was aggregated into there, but my logic for the aggregator basically threw it in there because it was tech, I assume, and maybe there might be Apple involved in this. as somebody that might be impacted by it, but I'm not sure. The article's title is, "If you thought printer cartridge DRM was bad, Dymo is forcing users to buy RFID paper." The printer manufacturer Dymo, of which I have a label printer down there, that is Dymo, and I bought paper for it, like 20 rolls of it a while back, and it's saying Dymo's latest label printers sport RFID readers that can authenticate the labels that customers place within the printers, according to the EFF, the Electronic Frontier Foundation. So I'm going to click this link. It'll take us to Apple Insider. That's why it was aggregated into Smack Talk. It was written by Mike Peterson. And it says the latest Dymo label printers sport RFID readers that can authenticate the labels that printers place into the printers. Dymo touts the benefits of the chipped label printer in its sales literature, including auto detection and remaining label counts. However, the chipping also forces Dymo printer or customers to purchase first-party labels that are more expensive than many of their competitors. Yeah, it's because it has an RFID chip in it. They may be cheap in bulk, but they're not cheap in bulk. They still add price. Some label makers are already adding warnings about the lock-in, advising users that the new label printers won't work if they don't detect the chipped paper. Yeah, I suspect that a lawsuit should force this. Yeah, there is nothing, there's no value there. If I run out of paper when I'm printing a label, that's my problem. I shouldn't be forced to use Dymo RFID chipped paper. That's absurd. Absolutely absurd. And that's all I can say about that. I'm just going to move on because that actually just really irritated me. What do you think about it? Let me know. Let me know in chat. Let me know on ohmTown.com. Let me know. Just let me know. College of Media announces Roger Ebert Center for Film Studies. And this is in the Continuity Report channel, which is all about movies. The College of Media at the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign is excited to announce that the Roger Ebert Center for Film Studies will officially launch this year, with programming to begin in fall of 2022. Maybe I'll change my career and do that. What do you think? No guts, no glory, go big, go home, that kind of thing. Thanks to gifts totaling more than $5 million from a collection of donors inspired by a lead gift from Roger and Chaz Ebert. Funding will support robust annual programming, including the Ebert Symposium, Ebert Lecture, and a screening series. Well, that's pretty cool. Click this link. Takes us over to rogerebert.com. It just says in total the editors as who the authors are. But this is obviously kind of like a news notice about this media center being launched. And I think it's great. Film typically has more meanings than just pure entertainment. Obviously, some of them run deeper and some of them are more shallow. But yeah, degrees in fine arts and film studies and liberal arts all go hand in hand in better understanding the human condition. And so I'm a proponent of all of this. I think it's a great idea to expand our understanding of the arts in general. So go over to rogerebert.com and click on that link from ohmTown. It'll take you over there and you can read all about it. And sorry, I'm scrolling up and down. I'm scanning for something that's necessarily more salient for discussion, but really this is all about a new studies program that's launching. So if you're interested, go and check it out. You can transfer from your local community college over there, by the way, and save a bunch of money on your 2-year degree while you start pursuing your 4-year degree. This next article is Tabletop Nights. And Bethesda has shared a 2022 roadmap for Fallout 76. I'm going to click this link here. This article is written by Adam Vitale. It might be Vitale, but I think it's pronounced Vitale. Bethesda shared a new roadmap for Fallout 76 for 2022, in addition to a previously teased major update this fall called Expeditions: The Pit, with 2 T's. So I think Brad Pitt is involved with this, in that he will be a boss, and you will have to fight him for taking over his winery, I think in Italy. Good luck. That it's going to be a struggle. Anyway, so the roadmap basically is spring, summer, fall, and winter. Starts with Invaders from Beyond, goes to Test Your Metal, Expeditions: The Pit, and Nuka World on Tour. Bethesda's also working on that space game that was spoken of yesterday, I believe it was. And you might find that interesting as well. It's the first original RPG that Bethesda's put out in 28 years or something like that, which is a long time. Believe me, because I've been around longer than that. I won't tell you how long, because then I'll be crying on Twitch. Okay, anyway. So this next article is in the Word in Tech. And it harkens back to something that's somewhat dying off, except for the next 2 articles. Found something interesting recently. I don't know how true it is, but I wanted to talk about it, and maybe you are interested in it as well. So you know that people left Spotify, all because of Joe Rogan, and we are in the waning moments of COVID, and people are starting to drop their mask, and 90% of the population, depending on where you are, 90% or more have gotten the vaccine. And the people who haven't gotten the vaccine are now benefiting from the rest of society doing what the rest of society does, which is they all look out for each other while the antisocial don't. And so you end up with somebody writing an article saying missing Joni and Neil because they're not on Spotify anymore. Well, here's how you break up with Spotify, all because of essentially the spat between Joe Rogan and his misinformation, and the caveat that he claims he is himself, just generally a dumbass, and you shouldn't take anything that he says as, the absolute way of things, which is weird because millions of people follow him. They believe what he says. They embrace what he says. He is a phenomenon, a charismatic leader that people will gravitate towards. Little responsibility, but okay. I'm not going to win any awards for making these statements, but it is what it is. But this article, let me see here, takes you over to The Guardian. There are plenty of streaming options available for music and podcasts, or you could listen the old-fashioned way, which if you're listening to Neil Young and Joni Mitchell, you're probably already in the old-fashioned way. I suppose the old-fashioned way is what? Listening to records? That's actually an audiophile way. That's a very modern way. So don't lump everybody into the old-fashioned way. Maybe I'm taking it a little bit differently, but the recent decision by Neil Young and Joni Mitchell to pull their music off Spotify amid a backlash over Joe Rogan's podcast has put fans of the folk icons in an awkward position. Where do you find it? Look, if you're a fan of them, you've already got their music. You can download it from Apple. You can download it from Amazon. You can download it from YouTube. You could download it just by doing a search on the internet. And for whatever reason, Google will already have it all lined up. Their artificial intelligence and machine learning has already predicted what you're going to be searching for anyway. You could pretty much call up Google and say, hey, what do I want for lunch? And its search engine will tell you. That said, the next article kind of puts all of this in perspective. And I thought it was interesting when I found it. It was aggregated into Smack Talk. Again, it's because it has to do with Apple Insider writing this article. Apple Insider does a really great job of kind of doing its own aggregation from various news sources and doing its own due diligence, somewhat like what ohmTown does. But the controversial Joe Rogan Experience is now said to have cost Spotify $200 million to buy, which is twice as much as what was reported previously. That's right. It was originally supposed to cost $100 million, but apparently there is some talk about it being $200 million. Two unnamed sources familiar with the deal. So, you know, Mr. Rogan is not small time. He isn't an independent streamer. He isn't me. He isn't me even at the beginning of this. He got his start a long time ago, 30 years ago plus. This article is over on appleinsider.com and written by William Gallagher. And calling him controversial is the only reason why he's controversial is because he said things that just are factually incorrect and people buy into it. But nobody knows how much it really costs except for these rumors. And I really doubt that there will ever be full disclosure of this unless somebody gets his accountant drunk and hands the books to somebody. So all of this is spurred on by this coronavirus stuff. And again, we're on the waning moments of it. And yet I'm sure people are going to start saying, well, you know, now it's all gone. Look, it's a miracle. No, it's 30 months worth of pain and suffering, and almost 1 million people have died. So if you're going to make claims and they can be demonstrably proven wrong, be prepared to make a correction. Swallow your pride and just make a correction. It's not that big of a deal. You got it wrong. We all do at some point in our existence. I'm sure I've gotten things wrong in the 45 days that I've been doing this, or 50 days now, I suppose. At any rate, that's the end of the show for today. The front page of ohmTown is the main source for your news. If you go over to ohmTown.com and you click on the front page, it will refresh, sometimes in pretty darn quick time, and will update with new information. And it does this 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If there is a mistake or a glitch or something going on, it might be happening right now. It'll get corrected, and you'll still be able to get your news from the front page. But you can always go into the various categories in which there will be more siloed information relevant to those particular channels, like create, news, education, entertainment, social, and technology. There are discussions in all of them that are taking place. Either the headlines are there by themselves and nobody is talking about them. Again, it's a brand new website, or there is discussion taking place. And I want to thank you for coming to the Twitch chat and watching the show. And if you go over to youtube.com/ohmTown, you'll be able to follow me there. And I'm also on twitter.com/ohmTown and other places. I know it's a lot, but it'll all be in the description for the show. And with that, I want to thank you very much. I'll see you tomorrow, 6 p.m. Eastern. Bye-bye.